has a puffy sleeve. Is a midi dress, so it's also off shoulder with like a sweet neckline. So guys, the first thing you're going to do, we are going to start with the bottom part. So the total length of this dress is about 42.5. So I'm going to subtract my shoulder to waist, which is the half bodice, 17 from the 42. I have about 20, I think about 25 or so left. So I also added my seam allowance to be able to fold the edge and half an inch to join this top part. So that's the length I have here. So the next thing, to determine the width of your fabric, you're going to go ahead and divide the widest part of your lower body, which most times is your hip, divided by 4 plus extra 1 inch of seam allowance. So that's what I have here. And then the next thing, for the back panel, because we always cut the front and the back together, my back has about 1.5 for the zip at the back. So now the next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and mark from your waist to your hip. Mine is 10 inches, so I'm going to mark that here. So on this line now, I'll insert my nipple to nipple measurement. So for me, that's about 4 inches. I'm going to go ahead and mark it here. Sorry, it's 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches, so I mark it here. And then I'm going to also insert my dart, half an inch on both sides, and then my dart is going to stop 2 inches before my hip, which is 10 inches, so my dart will stop at 8, just like that. I'm going to take this up, and then half an inch on both sides connected this way. So this is basically my dart. I'm going to notch it all the way down here, so that I can be able to transfer it from the 2 sides in front and the 2 sides at the back. And then after that, you're going to go back again at your waist, and you're going to divide your waist measurement by 4. So for me, I'm working with about 8.5. You mark that, and then you're going to add extra 2 inches to it. So after that, you're going to go ahead and insert your hip measurement, so plus 1 inch. So what I have here, I've marked it, and then you're going to connect it all the way to this point, just like that. And then when you come down here, because this fabric is cut like a rectangle and it's straight down this way, so the same measurement I have here is what I have at this very end. But at this end here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, so because this is longer, I might not do just 1 inch. I might just take away about 1.25 instead of doing 1 inch. If it was my knee, I would have taken away 1 inch, but since it's longer a little bit, let me just do about 1.25. So because the longer you go down on your leg, the narrower it becomes, right? So because you're going away from the widest part, which is your hip. So now I'm going to take away that here and mark it, and then I'm going to come down here by about 1 inch from your hip, and then you're going to place your ruler if you have one, and then connect it directly to the end, just like that. And that's basically how you do this. So now all you have to do is to go back in and then cut this part out all the way to this point. Follow this line and cut it out. So that's basically it. So guys, this is it here. If you need to line yours, just cut, and you cut like how you have it here, and then you're going to line it. I'm just going to use this the way it is, but I'm going to line the top part, and then you're going to pick your dart. So that's basically it for this part here. I'm going to set this aside, and then we move over to the top. So guys, to cut the top, all you have to do is your bust measurement divided by 4 plus extra 4 inches, right? So that's what I have here. So I have bust measurement divided by 4 is about 10.5 plus extra 4 inches is 14.5. So if you look at this here, you see my tape is at 14.5 here. So that's the width I have here. The extra 4 inches is just for all the seam allowances we are going to need to cut this bust here. So now after that, I placed my tape where I want it to be, because I after taking away half an inch here for my lining, I want my top to start immediately at 7 inches, right? Guys, I want to use this half an inch at the top here to be able to join it to lining. So when I'm done, I want my top to start at 7 inches, but it depends on you. You can take yours a little bit more up here, like from your shoulder, and then just like this, your normal basic bodice. But since it's an off shoulder, I want mine to start at 7 inches, so I want it lower. So it depends on you what you want to do. So after that now, but as you can see, I still have about half an inch at the top here, and then my shoulder to waist is about 17.5 or so, or 17. So you see I still have my extra half an inch at this lower part here. So guys, the next thing you're going to do now is to go ahead and mark your shoulder to your breast point, which is uh, uh, 12 inches here, and then shoulder to your underbust 14.5, shoulder to your waist 17.5. So after marking that, the next thing you're going to do now is to come in here. And so guys, this I cut the same pattern for both the front and the back. So this here is on a fold of two for the front panel and two for the back panel. I'm cutting all of them the same time, but the first thing I'm going to mark is just to come down at the waist. Divide your waist by 4. So remember, like I said before, if you divide by 4, for me I have about 8.5, and then plus extra 4 inches, that's going to be about 12.5 for me. So I'm going to just mark that here, and then I'm going to blend it in just like this to the edge of this top, like this, in an angle. So guys, once I do this, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So guys, now that we've cut this out, let's go ahead and separate the back and the front, and just mark the front, and then we'll come back and deal with the back. So now that I've marked that, I'm going to come to this line here, which is on the 12 inches shoulder to the breast point. Divide your bust by 4, sorry, nipple to nipple divided by 2 plus 1. So that's about 5 inches here. I'm going to mark that 5 inches all the way down to this end. So I'm going to mark it on my breast point line, and then on the under bust line, and then on the waistline. So after marking it here, you're also going to bring it up to the top here. So you see, it's 5 inches that I'm transferring all the way, distance of 5 inches from here to here. And the 5 inches is basically the nipple to nipple measurement, which is 8 divided by 2 plus 1. So now on this lower line here, I'm going to share 1 inch here and mark like half an inch, and then on this following line going up, I'm going to divide 0.75, 0.75. So basically I'm splitting 1.5 between these two sides. And then on this line, I'm not going to mark anything. Instead, I'm just going to connect this to this here, connect this one to this one here, and then I'm going to connect this line to this lower line here, and then connect this one to this lower line. So that's all I did here, but try to give it a curve so you see I've connected it. And then, oh guys, the next thing on this top line, I'm going to share 1 inch at this top part, so 1 inch on each of the sides. So after that, you're going to then bring it down to this same point here where this line is. So I'm going to blend it into this line, and then on the other side too, I'm going to blend it into this line, and that's basically it. So now that I've marked this here, all I have to do now is just to go ahead at this top part here and mark my like you're going to measure. So guys, you're going to measure from here to here on yourself. So for me, I have about 13 inches or 13.5. So you're going to divide it into 2. So let's say I'm using 13 inches now, divided by 2, that's going to be, so guys, I'm going to mark that here. So whatever you got, divide it by 2 and insert it here. But then you're going to add back these 2 inches that you removed from here, because remember, this part is going to be cut out as part of our darting. So you're going to add back that 2 inches, because it's 1 inch on each side that we took out. 1 inch here, 1 inch here. So after putting that back now, this is where we have our shoulder now. So at this point here, you're going to place back your tape the way it was before, when you started your inserting your measurement, and you're going to mark your armhole. So my armhole divided by 2 is about 9.5, somewhere here on this line. So I'm going to bring down this here, connect it to that line of my shoulder that I marked here after adding my 2 inches, which is here. So now this point here is going to be my armhole. I'm going to go ahead and cut this part out. So I'm going to cut out this here. This is my armhole. This is just the side of my clothes. So guys, after that now, I'm going to go ahead and follow this line now and cut this out all the way to this point. So guys, this is what it looks like, and then you're going to insert your sweetheart neckline. It depends on you. If you don't want a sweetheart neckline, then you can leave it the way it is now, but I want a sweetheart neckline, so I might come down here by 2 inches or 1.5 depending on you, mark it, and then connect it all the way to the tip of this part here. Just straighten it to the tip of that, and then you're going to cut it out. So for me now, this is my sweetheart neckline. So now what you're going to do is just to open this up. You see, you have your neckline here, you have the center, and then you have the two sides, because there's two of these on this side here, one here and then one here. So now we have our basic bodice. At this point now, we are going to go ahead and finish up the back. So the same thing for the back. Remember, the back has a zip allowance, right? This is what it looked like. This is the side where we chipped off before. So now I'm going to, for the back now, this is it. This is the angle here. I'm going to just mark out our about 1 inch or 1.5 for the zip allowance at the center back, which is here. I've marked it. And then from this point now, you're going to insert your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 plus extra half an inch is what I'm going to do here. So that's going to be 4.5 for me. I'm going to mark that distance from this center line for my zip. So I'm going to just mark that here, 4.5 away. And just like that, I'm going to also mark half an inch on this side and then half an inch on this side. That's why I did half an inch on both sides. And then you're going to take this dart and then mark it going up this way. Just the same way you mark your normal basic bodice dart. Remember, the dart doesn't go all the way up here. It stops at your chest line, which is most times about 10 inches or so. So the dart is supposed to stop somewhere here for you. So you're going to blend it half an inch on each side, and then that's basically it. After that, you're going to go ahead and on this top part here, you're going to insert the same measurement. You can measure it for your back, because sometimes for some people the back is wider than the front. So you can just take your tape, place it at the back, and then measure from one side to the other side and figure out what you have. That's lower at the point of their armhole. The same point where you measured it in front is where you're going to measure it at the back. So whatever you get, you're going to take it and insert it here. Right, you're not adding any 2 inches here, because for this one here, the dart is not going all the way to the top. It's stopping before there. It's stopping somewhere here, except you brought yours all the way to the top. And then after that, you're going to come in here and mark where your armhole is supposed to be. So like I did before in front, it's supposed to be somewhere here at 9.5 here. And then I'm going to bring this down and connect it this way. So this is basically my back armhole now. I'm going to go ahead and cut this part out, and that's all I'm cutting at the back. Guys, another thing I like to do for the back is I like to come up. So I'm going to, sorry, let me. So guys, another thing I like to do at the back is to come up here by about 1 inch, just to shorten the back panel, because if you don't do this, most times the zip might bulk up or it might be a lot of fabric at the back. So I like to go up here by about 1 inch, and then I'm going to use this 1 inch now, and then just place my tape this way to the edge of this here and blend it in, just like that. Blend it in this way. So now I'm going to cut this out. People also like to do the same thing at the top part, like they don't like to have this line across straight this way. So sometimes they like to blend it down, so it gives a curve at the top part of your at the top of the back, instead of going just across in a straight line like this at your back. So if you also want to do that, you can come down here by, let's say, 1.5, and then just blend it in just like you did for the other side. So come down 1.5 from here, and then place your tape at the tip here, and then just like that you blend it in. That way the back neckline will not just run across on at your back. It will have some curve to it. So it depends on you which one you want. If you want it to just go across on a straight line, it's also fine, but I think I'm just going to mark mine, like cut some of it out. So guys, this is my bodice here for the back panel. So all I have to do now is to go ahead now, trace this out on the lining, and then also trace the front panel on a lining, right? Trace it on a lining, and then this is the side of the front, and then this is the center front here. So trace out every pieces of this on a lining, and then I'm going to go ahead and join them together. After joining it, then I can after joining it, then I'll pick the dart for the back, join it to the skirt, and then we'll come back and finish up the sleeve. So guys, basically what you're joining is just to take it this way and then sew this edge using half an inch all the way to the end on this side. Take the other one on this side, also use half an inch to join it all the way to the end. So that's basically it. And then you take your lining, the same piece of lining that you cut for each of them, join it the same way you join the front pattern, and then use this top part here to top stitch it so that the lining can flip over and you iron it out. I'm gone ahead and shaped it. As you can see, if you feel like that 4 inches is a lot for you, you can go ahead and use like 3 inches instead of 4 inches, because as you can see, I shaped it almost about 1.5 by the side. And also for the back, I later took up the darts, because after making the normal darts, I wore it and figured that I still needed to take in some of that because it was gaping. So I took it up all the way straight, 0.5 on each side, shaped it. So now we're going to go ahead and cut the sleeve. So to cut the sleeve, you're going to, this is what I'm using here. It depends on you how wide you want your sleeve to be. I've cut mine this way. So the width I have here is about 18 inches. So guys, I'm using 18 inches of width here. So the next thing you're going to do is, so the length depends on you. The total length I have here is about 14 inches, because the top part here, I'm going to fold the casing, but I want it to have slight ruffle at the top, but it depends on you. So when I'm done, I want to have about 8 inches of sleeve length, but as you can see, I have 14 inches here, so it depends on you. So I added about 1 2 3 4 5 6 more inches to it, because this is a puffy sleeve. So because I need casing for the top and casing for the bottom. So to cut this thing now, if you want, you can cut your casing while you cut the cloth, but for me, I decided, because because I had to shape it a lot, I decided to wait after shaping it, then I can join my sleeve. So now I'm going to fold what I'll use for the casing, and then I'm going to place it at the top here to figure out what I need to cut out. So I want to have half an inch of seam allowance on the body of the sleeve, not like what I have here up to 1.5 inch. So so guys, instead of having 1.5, I'm going to use half an inch for my seam allowance. So now I'm going to just mark this out this way. So this part here is going to be my armhole here, and I'm going to make my sleeve, and then I'm going to insert it here. So you see what I marked? I've marked this here. This is going to be my armhole. I'm using half an inch for this, but if I brought it in more, let's say I brought it in more to use up, or like I cut it ahead of time, then that means my sleeve is going to go in this much. So it's going to take away from this. So that's why I waited till when I finished and shaped it, and it's my size. Like, use your tape to measure it and figure out that is my bust measurement. Then I'm cutting the sleeve now. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So guys, now that I've finished, you see I've attached one sleeve, and this is the second sleeve. So basically what I was trying to explain is, if you look at that top, you will see that it has the casing. After making your casing, you make a stitch on top. So this top stitch, there are 2 stitches here, the one you use in folding the cloth, and then another top stitch here. The one in the center is where my elastic is. This top one is just to give me a ruffle at the top. So you see, after folding it, the stitch I use in folding it is the first one below. My elastic is inside of this one, and then this top fold, there's nothing inside, it's just for the ruffle at the top. So that's it here. So this is one sleeve, you see, elastic at the end. So like I said, you can make your puffy sleeve bigger than this. You can go more than 18 inches. It depends on you, because this is not that big. So now I'm going to take this one. You see, I finished this one also. This is what it looks like at this moment. So what I'm going to do now is just to take it and attach it side seam to side seam, right? Side seam to side seam, and then I'm going to just join it all the way to the top and all the way to the back, and just like that. See, this is how I did this one here. Just from the side seam, I joined it to the end, and then I have my sleeve. So that's basically it for this dress. Thank you guys so much for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe. Bye.